Hi everyone, welcome back to The Shelves Have Eyes. I'm Fantom. We're going to be doing an unboxing of this Comic Edition Shockwave from the Legacy line, exclusively through Hasbro Pulse. As you can see, they're using the cover art from Transformers number 5, New World Order, probably the most iconic piece of Transformers art ever produced. It just so happens to have Shockwave. The art that they used for this looks a little digitally retouched. It doesn't look as crisp as the actual comic issue cover did. I have the issue, so, I also believe I have a poster of it as well. I don't know where they got this particular asset. For copyright reasons, they may have needed to make changes. Either that or they took this from the IDW Classics edition, which was subject to very odd digital recolorings. But it's nice to see this piece of art being used. When you're using an iconic character like Shockwave, this is the piece of art that you use. On the top of the box, we have the image of Shockwave clenching his fist from issue 5. On the side here, we have part of a mural, art by Marcelo Matare, that would depict, once you collect the other comic editions, it would depict Shockwave, Grimlock, Emerald Zarin, Flame, Straxus. Not exactly sure how many of those I'm going to collect. I have the Straxus on order, so I probably won't get the Grimlock, at least for a little while. Maybe if I find him cheap on the secondary market. On this side, we have comic panels, all seemingly from issue 5. So Megatron in coil chains. The front of the box opens, and we get this very nice splash shot from the same issue of Buster Witwicky finding Optimus Prime's disembodied head. And we have a look at the actual figure itself. He looks pretty good. I like the comic deco. I don't think it's going to replace original version of this particular mold, which was the Siege War for Cybertron version. Just because I think that's an excellent figure to begin with. And this one is missing all of the extra kibble pieces to make him into that super battleship mode that he had. So, I don't think this is going to become my favorite toy of Shockwave, but I appreciate the accuracy of the coloration. I appreciate the size of his eye, because in the War for Cybertron, Siege War for Cybertron mold, I don't know, it was probably because of the light piping, but his eye didn't look quite the right size. And we get Optimus Prime's disembodied head down at the bottom. So let's get this sucker open. All right, so we've got the instruction booklet. Fairly standard. Shows you how to attach Optimus. I don't know why you would need instructions to know how to do that, but that's fine. Instructions on transforming Shockwave. I remember how to transform the original figure, so let's take a look. We're going back to plastic pieces now, plastic ties. I don't know if that's a Hasbro or Takara mandated change. Hasbro has almost been exclusively using the cellulose ties, the paper ties, which are actually pretty effective. I don't know why they would go back to plastic. It just seems so needless. Okay, and here we have this from same issue 5, Shockwave walking past all of the hung-up deactivated Autobots. So that's nice. Very nice little rendition. It looks comic accurate. Hose that goes into the back of his head to pull the creation matrix out. This head apparently can go onto the Earthrise Optimus, leader class Optimus figure, but that is not a figure that I own, so I can't show that off yet. I plan on buying him in the future, so if that happens, I'll show this whenever I get it. So before we can move on to Shockwave, let's just construct this little stand. Oh, I feel like I'm making Gundam kits. I should get the Gundam snips. Maybe the Gundam snips would be a better idea. I'm getting a lot of sprue at the end of these. Just going to pick off the little sprue pieces that remain on the ends of here. All right, so we're looking pretty smooth. Okay, and then we're going to pop this to the back of Optimus's head like that, so he can become a horrible creature. So, not bad. I don't particularly care for that. I think that that's really spindly, but whatever. I mean, it's cool that they gave us this. It was a cool accessory. Then again, I would say that the price that they're asking for this toy, it better come with a lot of stuff to offset that price. And it's okay. So here we have Shockwave proper. Obviously, the light piping is gone. They filled it in, obviously. And he has his normal yellow eye and comic, quote-unquote, accurate dot piping and shadows. All told, he looks pretty good. I was frankly surprised, just because it's amazing what a new paint job can do for an older figure. I really like the War for Cybertron Siege Shockwave mold, but this is breathing new life into it. It really looks nice. Whether it's, you know, $65 worth of nice, I can't really say yet. But let's get him transformed and see what he looks like sans all of the leader class power armor. So there you have it. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it doesn't really look like the G1 version. I mean, they're obviously using they're using the mold from the Siege. So it's not a fantastic version of Shockwave. I mean, so I'm actually kind of surprised they wouldn't have gone back and slightly altered this mode enough so that he could become his G1 ray gun. I mean, it's a little lazy. It's a little lazy. I love the color. I love the paint scheme. I love the fact we got it in this box. I like that it comes with the Optimus head, but I don't necessarily think this toy is worth the price that Hasbro's asking for. Particularly just because there isn't a lot of difference. I mean, you're getting the same figure as the War for Cybertron Siege, but it's missing all of its parts. I don't know really what else to say other than I don't feel like I was cheated by this. It's an interesting little curiosity item. Really, it's longtime fans that are going to be buying the comic versions. So, I mean, I don't feel too bad about that. But I don't think this was really worth the price. Also, if you look in the front, you can now just see Shockwave's face. It's just hiding underneath there. Whereas when you had all of the rest of his kibble, all of those armorizer pieces that came with the War for Cybertron Siege, that was covered up. This was covered up by the flaps of the larger destroyer piece that fit over this. So it's like, I like it. I mean, I'm not sorry I bought it, but is this worth the price? I don't think so. I think that Hasbro could have done a little bit of remolding and fix some of the issues with making this particular toy into a G1 Shockwave. And we've seen them do it before. It would have been very simple to do. I don't know if that's just they don't want a ray gun, but this just feels kind of like a double dip for the sake of double dipping. I'm not angry at it, but I'm not ecstatic about it either. So where was I? Ah, yes. So this is a fairly lackluster alternate mode, especially given the massive mold modifications that they've done for Straxus, Emerald Zarin, and Flame. So it just seems kind of oddly redundant for them to have not done a large-scale mold alteration for Shockwave. I mean, Shockwave already is about 3/4 of the way there in terms of his G1 alternate mode. It just would have taken re-engineering this little block here, maybe give this more of an elongation and keep this as a singular piece so that when you folded it back onto the sides of his leg, it looked more like his G1 counterpart. It really would have just boiled down to a little bit more filler gaps here, yeah, I mean, really, it wouldn't take that much to turn what they have left this with into an approximation of the G1 alternate mode. Now, from this, let's just compare and contrast with this. This is War for Cybertron Siege Shockwave. Really, he's a Voyager-sized figure with all of this extraneous armorizer material to make him into a leader class. A lot of people have problems with this particular mold. I actually think it's really interesting. I think that for the most part, they really nailed the color, and it matches his original G1 toy in terms of that particular coloration. I mean, yeah, you could say the 6 arms are a little weird. I mean, they could have just have easily made these into other gun assortment arms or pincers, or they could have made these into like the loader arms from Aliens. I like the feet attachments. They click right into the bottom of Shockwave's actual foot, right here. And then they actually look like they belong. It makes the top, his actual foot, look like it would realistically be the top of this particular weird apparatus. I mean, say what you will about the backpack and its weird flange and the fact that it really sticks out behind his head in this particular mode. I mean, he just kind of very much is inspired by Onyx Prime, his appearance just before this in IDW, when he went back in time. He was thrown backwards in time, rather, and became Onyx Prime, and, you know, basically manipulated the hell out of the history of the Transformers in the IDW original 2005 line. I particularly like this figure. I think it really works, especially if you're going to make a bruiser like Shockwave into an even bigger kind of toy. So let's just take his accoutrements off. And yeah, I mean, you're essentially left with the exact same toy as the comic version, but I feel like this just looks better. It doesn't have the comic shading, etc., but you got killer light piping in his singular eye, and his proportions look better, I think, in this darker purple than it does in the light. So yeah, I appreciate what they've done with the comic accurate version. I just kind of like this a little bit better. And I feel like they really took a lot away from the figure by not including all of the pieces that were on the Siege figure. I mean, the point remains that they could have very easily just included the rest of the pieces for Shockwave in here. Yes, it would have been comic accurate, but it really would have bulked up the figure magnificently. I mean, if this was all colored the same, it would really be a very imposing, interesting looking figure. I realize that they wanted to go for comic accuracy, so to speak. But seriously, you couldn't have included these pieces with this particular set. Instead, all they did was just give us this Optimus head. And that's not really worth the price, in my opinion. Like, I would have much rather preferred all of the pieces to the original Shockwave mold redone in this color and the head. And then the price would have been worth it, in my opinion. I like both, actually. Now that I really think about it, I like both of these a lot. But for me, the armor kind of tips it in the favor of the Siege. I like comic accurate Shockwave. It's pretty cool. It looks nice. Hasbro just should have done a little bit better, in my opinion. Well, that's it for this episode of The Shelves Have Eyes. Next up is Comic Edition Straxus. Hope to see you there.